This podcast is a work of historical interpretation. While we strive for accuracy, some aspects of history are open to interpretation and debate. Thank you for listening. So, Happy New Year, 2025. See how long it takes me to remember to write that down correctly on papers.
Well, it's okay. I don't know who you're saying Happy New Year's to on the 14th of this month.
It is not the 14th. Oh. Well, okay. When this comes out, whatever. We are obviously recording this on the 1st of January. Happy New Year's.
We're time tellers, not time travelers.
That was a good one. It's good.
Did you just tell me I had a good one already?
No, it's bound to happen occasionally.
Was that my one for the year?
One for the year. First day and he's done. Not even 3 o'clock yet. Okay, well, we're very close to 3 o'clock. But
You're being mean.
I am not. I said that was funny. You're the one who said it was your only one. Run the tape back. I am correct.
I can't do that while we're recording.
You are the one making fun of yourself, not me. Yeah, you can't do that while we're recording, can you?
No.
Yeah.
I can do stuff like this.
The stuff that drives me up a wall. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Stop it.
But that sound was just signifying it wasn't long enough.
What? I don't understand what you're saying.
Yep. It's too far away. You couldn't reach it.
Oh. May as well take advantage of the fact that there's a cord there. Okay.
A really short one.
Yeah. Probably delete all that. For it. Because that's just silliness. Me trying to plug my cell phone in.
Without getting up, and it was too far away.
I'm short. I have short arms.
Okay, T-Rex.
My students do call me a dinosaur for a reason.
Yeah, I know. You're ancient.
So today, January 1st, but this will air, like he said, on the 14th. We're going to talk about 2 brothers that invented the airplane.
Oh.
The Wright brothers.
Yeah, I just looked at the calendar.
You just looked at the calendar? Excellent. Yeah. The Wright brothers, pioneers in flight.
Wow.
I grew up in Dayton, Ohio. I had to cover it eventually. Well, look at Ohio, where like Hawthorne Hill is located, which is...
I thought Leonardo da Vinci invented flight.
Yes. Okay, fair. Modern flight. How about that? Machine flight.
He did. It was just human-powered.
Right. This is not human-powered. Because there's definitely gliding available beforehand, which is what he did. Sort of.
He designed a helicopter. What are you talking about?
I don't know if he actually had a working helicopter. He had designs for one, like drawings. I don't know if he actually had it, like, built or a prototype.
According to Assassin's Creed 2, he did.
Okay. Well, because, you know, what are those called? Video games are so accurate. Okay.
Are you drunk already?
No, I've only had coffee and water. So, back to the Wright brothers. Well, welcome to Time Tellers. I'm Renee. That's Dan over there. He's going to say hello, maybe?
No.
Okay. And this is Time Tellers, where we bring history's most inspiring stories to life. Today, we are soaring into the skies with the Wright brothers. 2 ordinary men from Dayton, Ohio, whose extraordinary determination and ingenuity changed the world forever. This is the story of Wilbur and Orville Wright, from their humble beginnings to their groundbreaking invention of the airplane and the challenges they faced after their historic flights.
I still always think Orville Redenbacher when I hear his name.
I mean, it's not a very common name, one would think. And when I hear Wilbur, I think but wasn't there a Wilbur the pig?
Yes.
Yeah. So...
But popcorn's better than pigs.
Is Wilbur the pig from Charlotte's Web?
Yes.
Yes, I know some things.
I know, you're allowed to once in a while.
I probably haven't read that book in 30 years.
Why not?
Because it's a children's book that I read in elementary school.
Can't you tie it into your curriculum somehow?
Well, probably. But I think I'm done with novels for a while.
Oh boy, who'd you offend now?
No. Okay, let's talk about their early life and family. So Wilbur's the older brother. He was born in 1867. Orville was born in 1871, so about 4 years difference. They were the middle children of Milton Wright, who was a bishop in the United Brethren Church, and their mother, Susan Katherine Corner Wright, who was, of course, a homemaker, but she was mechanically inclined. Their family valued education, curiosity, and hard work. They were raised in Dayton. They showed early interest in mechanics and innovation. Apparently, a toy helicopter from their father that they were given as children sparked their fascination with flight. But the Wright siblings were extremely close, particularly Wilbur and Orville, and their sister Katherine, who supported their endeavors emotionally, of course, and later helped them manage their business. Wilbur and Orville were 2 out of 7 children. Their siblings were, I'm going to butcher this name, Rauchlin, Lauren, and twins Otis and Ida. Ida, who apparently died in infancy. And then, of course, Katherine. Don't be too excited now.
I'm very excited.
Okay. So, before they did anything with airplanes, they were in the bicycle business. In the 1890s, the brothers opened Wright Cycling Company. Whoops, I said that wrong. Opened the Wright Cycle Company, not cycling, where they repaired and sold bicycles. This helped them hone their mechanical skills and funded the aeronautical experiments. Do you know what aeronautical means?
Space.
Yay!
Flight, whatever
Yes.
you want to call it.
I only ask that because people don't use that word anymore unless you're talking about outer space, which they were not talking about outer space at this point. At least I don't think so.
I'm sure they talked of it.
Right, but not, I don't think they were doing experiments in space. But anyway.
That anybody knows of.
True. Before the bicycle shop, the brothers had a printing business, which I didn't actually know. And yes, the lights hate us here.
Yep.
So they manufactured several models of bicycle, including the Van Cleve and the St. Clair, named after historical figures associated with Dayton. There's a community college in Dayton called St. Clair, although it is spelled differently. I'm wondering if that's the same St. Clair. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. I did music theory and took a couple other courses there. That's why I was thinking of that. But anyways, the Van Cleve was a high-end, durable model designed for reliability. This is the bicycles. And the St. Clair was the more affordable option, which fits in with the community college, targeting budget-conscious customers. So we had the high-end with the Van Cleve, and we had everyday folks with the St. Clair riding around on their bicycles. The late 19th century saw increased interest in human flight, inspired by pioneers such as Otto Lilienthal. The Wright brothers began studying aeronautics in the late 1890s, focusing on lift, drag, and control principles. So they had wind tunnels, even with the bicycles, because they used bicycle parts in their early experiments with the wind tunnels, which they used to test the aerodynamics of their airplanes eventually. Their understanding of balance and steering from bicycles helped them design the 3-axis control system, which helped with their powered flight. And some of their first flying experiments incorporated modified bicycles, such as testing propellers and controls. So they used their bicycle knowledge to help with human flight.
They're very similar.
Especially with the balance and the aerodynamics.
Yeah, and the steering.
Mm-hmm.
And the propulsion.
Yes, although, I don't know, you need a lot more propulsion for an airplane than a bicycle.
Well, that's why it'd be, mechanical.
With an engine.
Yeah, but same concept, though. It's still spinning something.
True.
It's just different gears and turning them differently.
So some challenges when I came to the whole concept of human flight. By the late 19th century, many inventors and engineers were attempting to achieve powered flight, but no one had succeeded. The brothers, of course, saw this as an exciting challenge. It's because they didn't have the internet or social media to, time waste on. Or TV. Or, anyways.
They could have just started crocheting.
Well, there's only a few select people that can crochet. We are an elite community. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, good way to waste time.
Wilbur and Orville were natural problem solvers. They wanted to contribute to solving the problem of controlled powered flight, a frontier they believed held immense potential for humanity, and that is true. By the late 1890s, their interest in aviation had overtaken their passion for bicycles. In 1899, they began experimenting with kites and gliders, gradually building up to a powered flight. The success of their Wright Flyer in 1903 marked the culmination of their transition from bicycle mechanics to aviation pioneers.
Yay.
Hey, I mean, without them, we would have eventually had airplanes, but their methodical approach set them apart. They built and tested guiders, also known as gliders to study lift and control. They designed the wind tunnel, like I mentioned earlier, to test airfoil shapes. And, as mentioned earlier, developed a 3-axis control system, which was a breakthrough that allowed for controlled flight. And that has to do with their driving. But that's not the word I was looking for.
Flying,
but control of where the airplane goes. Steering. We are starting off 2025 really good, guys.
What do you mean? It's 2024.
Okay, before the Wright Flyer, the builders built and tested the brothers. Okay.
I was hoping you'd make it a whole year without saying that.
No, good luck. Sorry. Before the Wright Flyer, the brothers built and tested several gliders. These experiments taught them crucial lessons about lift and control. They meticulously recorded data, noting both successes and failures. Their 1902 glider, which would be a year before the powered flight, in particular, was groundbreaking, introducing a rudder for improved stability. So they're going by this with the scientific method in mind.
Yeah.
In 1901, frustrated by conflicting data from other aviation pioneers, that's when they decided to build their own wind tunnel. This allowed them to refine their designs of the shape of the airplane. And one of their lesser known achievements was designing efficient airplane propellers. Instead of treating them like ship propellers, they realized they functioned as rotating wings, applying aerodynamic principles to maximize thrust. For all the scientific-minded people out there, this probably makes a lot more sense to you than me.
Do I need to explain it all to you?
Can you explain it to me?
Do I have to?
No.
Oh, okay then.
Okay, so let's talk about the first powered flight, which was not in Ohio, and this is still kind of a issue between Ohio and North Carolina. If you have anything to do with, airplanes. My dad worked for US Air for many years, so he was slightly annoyed that North Carolina said their license plate says first in flight, I think, or is that Ohio's? Yep,
That's North Carolina's.
That's North Carolina's. Ohio's is the birthplace of aviation.
Yeah.
Because the brothers were born there. But they had to go to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, because it had strong winds and sandy dunes, and that's where they tested out the airplane.
Since Ohio failed once again.
Because of its landscape?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. So this is Kitty Hawk, and it became the testing ground for their experiments. In December of 1903, they were ready to test their powered flying machine, named after themselves, of course, the Wright Flyer.
How original.
I know, right? December 17th, 1903. On this historic day, Orville piloted the first powered, controlled, and sustained flight. This lasted all of 12 seconds, which is actually a long time if you're like trying to do a plank or something. No, I'm just kidding. 12 seconds. And it covered 120 feet.
Wow.
Well, wait, I'm trying to compare it to a football field. It's longer than a football field.
No, it's not.
No? Oh, confusing.
A football field's 100 yards.
Yards and feet, that's what I'm mixing up.
3 feet are a yard.
300 feet. So it's half a football field. Give or take. Right?
Less. A third of a football field.
No. It's 3 feet per yard.
Yeah, and it's 100 yards for a football
field. So it's 300 feet.
Yeah, so it's a third of a football field.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not teach math or science. So I'm going to say this again. Yeah. On this historic day, Orville piloted the first powered, controlled, and sustained flight, lasting 12 seconds and covering 120 feet, which is less than a football field.
It's a third of a football field.
3 more flights followed that day, with the longest lasting 59 seconds. Wilbur assisted his brother from the ground. Get back to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. This was a remote location, and it did pose some logistical difficulties just getting there, I would assume. Getting the airplane out there. Probably had to tow it.
They couldn't just fly it?
Well, that's what they were trying to test. There was also strong winds to deal with and soft sand, which would be good for crashing possibilities, but I feel like it'd be hard to get, like, up. Because if you think about running on the sand, like, there's, like, no traction.
Oh, yeah.
This groundbreaking achievement, though initially met with skepticism, laid the foundation for modern aviation and revolutionized transportation, commerce, and, of course, unfortunately, warfare. So this first powered flight was in Kitty Hawk. The actual hill was named Kill Devil Hills, which
Yep.
I'm like, that sounds horrifying for something like they were trying to do. It was witnessed by 5 individuals, 3 members, this is smart, 3 members of the Kill Devil Hills life-saving station.
Huh. Good.
Kind of like how, like, even at, like, high school football games, we have an ambulance sitting outside just in case. In modern day, you never know. Then also, their names were Adam Etheridge, John T. Daniels, and William Doe, and 2 other local residents, W.C. Brinkley and Johnny Moore. So Orville wrote to his father after this in a letter. He wrote, "It is difficult to describe the elation we felt. The world may not have known it yet, but we have done what many believe impossible." So remember, this is, in the time of writing letters to people.
Wow.
And also keeping a journal. I mean, some people do that now. But here's journal entry from Orville as well. "The machine lifted from the track just as it was meant to, steady and sure." That's right. They had it on a track, like almost like a train track. I forgot about that.
Well, yeah.
That helped stabilize it, because I'm thinking the sand is going to mess with, how are you going to get that?
It's the same concept that they use on aircraft carriers.
Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
Can you just say I was right twice this year so far?
I'm going to start this diary entry again. "The machine lifted from the track just as it was meant to, steady and sure. I watched as the sandy ground below passed quickly, feeling the control as the flyer responded to my touch. It was only 12 seconds, but in those moments, we lived a dream that had seemed unattainable." And that John T. Daniels, that was there as well, later recounted, "When it rose off the ground, it was like a miracle. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. 2 men who had conquered the skies." And there are photos of this.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
They have them in the Smithsonian.
And they also have the airplane. Well, they did. It's no longer there. But no, they moved it to, and I wrote this down, they moved it to some other museum. Like Air and Space?
It's been at the Air and Space Museum.
Oh, that's been there in our lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah.
But originally it was just in like the regular Smithsonian.
Oh, yeah, that was before they built the Air and Space
Yeah,
Museum.
that was my point. Yeah.
I thought you meant they moved it somewhere after that.
No, it's still, no.
Like out to the Udvar Hazy Center or something.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
is part of the Air and Space Museum. But
Well, and I mentioned this too. It is at the Carillon Park, Historical Park in Dayton, Ohio. A rebuilt one by who rebuilt it? Orville or Wilbur, I don't remember, but it's in my notes. Whoever lived longer. I can't remember.
Whoever wanted more money.
No. Well,
I'm sure that factored in.
yeah. After their success, at flying, the Wright brothers faced legal and business challenges. They were granted a U.S. patent, which was number 821,393 in 1906. Covered their innovative 3-axis control system, essential for fixed-wing flight. Determined to protect their invention, they initiated a series of legal actions, notably against aviator pioneer Glenn Curtiss, who employed a similar control mechanism. These protracted legal battles, known as the Wright brothers patent war, persisted until World War I. The U.S. government, recognizing the need for aircraft production during the war, intervened in 1917 by establishing a patent pool through the Manufacturers Aircraft Association, allowing manufacturers to use essential aviation patents, including the Wrights, in exchange for royalties. This resolution ended the patent dispute and facilitated the rapid advancement of the aviation industry. Just an example of the U.S. government coming in and being like, okay, we're done. We're taking over now.
Sounds familiar.
Right. So the Wright brothers formed the Wright Company in 1909, manufacturing airplanes and training pilots. The company was headquartered in New York City, Dan's favorite place ever.
Yeah.
With manufacturing facilities in Dayton, Ohio.
Boo. Ohio.
I will let that go for now. Wilbur Wright.
Truth hurts.
Wilbur Wright served as president and Orville as vice president. They sold their American patent rights to the company for $100,000.
That's it?
Yeah, this is 1909. I forgot to look it up.
That's still only like maybe 10 million. Maybe.
Ouch.
Stop hitting on the table.
What is 100?
The table can't say no. I think. Why don't you just ask ChatGPT?
How about 2.4 million? Almost 2.5.
That's it?
What? That's a lot. I mean, granted, maybe not for airplane invention.
That's what I'm saying.
But,
Yeah.
I mean,
They screwed themselves there.
by that right. I'm looking at this next part. It says 100,000 in 1909 has a relative wage of 16,700,710,084 cents paid to an unskilled worker today. But the relative price worth of that 100,000 is 2.492559 today. I suck at reading big numbers because I'll never see them in my lifetime. But anyways. Oh, they also, they sold their patent rights for $100,000, but they also had 40% of the company's stock and a 10% royalty for every airplane built. So maybe they didn't do too bad. I didn't finish that sentence. 40% is pretty good percent.
See, that's different.
Yeah. This venture enabled the brothers to produce airplanes commercially, train pilots, and conduct public demonstrations.
And make more bikes.
Yes. I don't know if they ever made another bike after this, but... So it also significantly contributed to the early growth of the aviation industry. So, interesting fact about their whole family in general, none of them married except for Katherine. All the siblings. So, neither Wilbur nor Orville ever married. Wilbur once remarked that he, quote-unquote, did not have time for both a wife and an airplane. Which I feel like so many men, especially men, would have like a similar, like, I mean, us women, we're so bothersome. Just kidding.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Orville remained a lifelong bachelor as well. Their sister Katherine Wright was the only sibling to marry. She wed Henry Haskell in 1926. Apparently, Orville was reportedly upset about her marriage, leading to a temporary estrangement between the siblings. I don't know if he didn't like Henry or if he just didn't like the fact that she was, quote unquote, leaving the family, or, he had to take care of himself now. I'm not sure. So the brothers became global celebrities, showcasing their inventions in Europe and inspiring the rapid development of aviation. Wilbur conducted the first public demonstrations on August 8th, 1908 in France. He captivated audience with controlled flights and maneuvers that surpassed European aviation efforts. These demonstrations dispelled skepticism about their earlier claims and established the Wrights as leading figures. Their European engagements include flights in Italy, where they trained pilots for the Italian army, and meetings with royalty and industrialists, significantly contributing to the global advancement of aviation technology. Now, Katherine was a graduate of Oberlin College. She pursued a career originally as a high school teacher. Beyond that, she was deeply involved in her brother's work. So she kept their bicycle shop going during their absences, handled correspondence. Of course, she was the communicator of the family. Her contributions extended to acting as their representatives during European exhibitions, where she was celebrated for her diplomatic skills and was even awarded the French Legion of Honor. She was an advocate for women's rights. She was active in the suffrage movement and served as president of Dayton's Young Women's League. And she would go with them and help, basically like PR, when they would travel to demonstrate their airplane. And they would do a special, like, figure 8 figure while demonstrating, which is something nobody had ever seen in an airplane at that point. Yeah, figure 8. I don't know. Turning's hard.
So are turn signals.
Yes, you are correct.
I've seen you drive.
No, you haven't. What have you seen me drive?
A giant, red, terrifying thing.
My giant red van? As I drive away from the playhouse, that's when you've seen me drive. We are done with Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah, that means Waitress starts like in 2 weeks.
I am not playing for Waitress.
That's because there's no violin part.
I do want to go see it, though.
You go see it.
I will, but not because you told me to.
No, not now. You can't go see it because I told you to.
Okay.
Sticking to the man.
This is probably an hour-long episode, all right?
No, we're only at 40 minutes, actually.
Oh, okay.
Exactly 17 seconds.
Okay, well, there's definitely a lot we can cut out of this.
Big shocks, there usually is, because I'm offensive.
No, it's mostly me. I can't talk today.
Oh, I leave that stuff in.
Yeah.
You know that.
Okay, you can at least help me out a little bit.
Bribe me. No.
So,
that's not monetary.
Wilbur, unfortunately, passed away on May 30th, 1912 at the age of only 45. He was on a business trip to Boston, and he contracted typhoid fever. Despite medical care, his condition deteriorated, and he succumbed to the illness at the Wright brothers' home in Dayton, Ohio. His father, who survived him, noted in his diary, a short life full of consequences, an unfailing intellect, imperturbable temper, great self-reliance, and as great modesty, seeking the right clearly, pursuing it steadfastly. He lived and died. The English teacher in me is not going to correct that. It's a very sad diary entry from his father. It was kind of hard to read. Anyways, Wilbur Wright was laid to rest in Woodland Cemetery in Dayton, Ohio, where his gravesite remains a place of homage for those honoring the dawn of aviation.
Have you been there?
Definitely been to Woodlawn Cemetery, for sure. And I would assume we would have, unless they moved his grave. But I remember that name.
Well, I just didn't know if they had like a plane or something there, you know?
No, the plane I saw was the one at the Carillon Historical.
Well, no, I just mean like on a grave or some kind of a...
Oh, I'm sure it's marked. I'm sure I went to it. But, 20 plus years ago, probably more like 30, I don't know.
Oh, I have to look that up just because I'm just wondering. Because, sometimes they're...
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's marked, and I'm sure it's...
Oh, I'm sure it's marked.
Yeah, I just don't know if it got moved. Because sometimes they'll move important graves, sites. Orville continued to work on aviation advancements, but eventually retired from public life only 3 years later in 1915. He found little satisfaction.
No, it's boring.
What? Oh, his gravesite's boring? Oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, I definitely have been there.
But you know what I mean? I was figuring it'd be a little more...
Yeah, definitely, because that's a whole section, because I see his sisters there. Yeah. Yeah, they were kind of modest,
Yeah, but still.
But, yeah. So Orville found little satisfaction in managing the business aspects of aviation, a realm that had become increasingly complex and competitive. In 1915, seeking to return to his passion for innovation and experimentation, Orville sold the Wright Company. He then retired from active business pursuits, dedicating his time to personal research and serving as an elder statesman in the field of aviation. Notably, he contributed to various boards and committees, including the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, which is the precursor to, my students would know this, NASA. It's a precursor to NASA.
Yeah.
NACA is what NASA was during and after World War II. Up until about, I can't remember when it changed exactly, but late 50s, early 60s. Maybe JFK changed that. I don't remember exactly, but that time period.
Yeah.
The Wright brothers airplane revolutionized transportation, warfare, and commerce, fundamentally altering human mobility and perspective. In 1928, the original Wright Flyer was displayed in the Smithsonian Institution. In Dayton, Ohio, several institutions showcase replicas of the Wright brothers' pioneering aircraft. I think the airport has one, actually, too. At Carillon Historical Park, the Wright Brothers National Museum houses the Wright Brother 3, the world's first practical airplane. This original 1905 aircraft, restored under Orville Wright's supervision, that's what I was saying earlier, is displayed in a dedicated pavilion, providing insights into the evolution of flight. We would go to the Carillon Historical Park as, field trips.
That's like how I always went to Niagara Falls for field trips and Fort Niagara and
right, yeah.
Power plant.
Go where you are.
Buffalo Museum of Science before they ruined it.
We went to COSI, the Columbus Museum of Science. Yeah.
Ever go to Columbus Zoo for a field trip?
Maybe.
Oh, that seems really fancy for a field trip.
Now, when I say field trips, this could have been with our school, but I could also be thinking of other groups I was participating with at the time, possibly too. But our school was a little, what would we call it nowadays? Bougie? Is that bougie? Bougie. I'll get in there. You're a suburb. We're a pretty well off suburb. Yeah. Additionally, the Wright B Flyer Incorporated, located at the Dayton Wright Brothers Airport in Miami Township, operates a modern lookalike of the 1910 Wright Model B, which was the brothers' first mass production airplane. Orville lived to see the airplane evolved into key instrument in World War II and also World War I, but he did live up through World War II. Before he died in 1948, Orville's involvement during this period, World War II period, was primarily advisory. reflecting his enduring commitment to aviation's achievement, even in times of global conflict. And if you just think about the pictures of like World War I airplanes to World War II airplanes, it's crazy how advanced they get just in those 20 years. Because the World War I airplanes still looked like the first models, like with the double.
Well, yeah, because they were biplanes and then you had the
Yeah.
triplanes.
Yeah. You didn't have those they still existed in the world, but they weren't being used in World War II for most of the battles. So I have a quote from Wilbur. It's before he died, obviously. It's the stupidest thing I've ever said. Okay.
No, it's not.
Wilbur's quote, "No bird soars in a calm. Life is full of trials, and it is those trials that teach us the art of soaring." So in 1940, I have a quote from Orville reflecting on his and his brother's legacy. "What we achieved was not an accident. It was years of trial, error, study, and effort. Flight was not a leap of faith. It was a calculated and tested reality." It's a pretty good quote, I think. So, of course, Wilbur's early death in 1912 deeply affected Orville. And as I stated earlier, he did leave public life, at least business public life, in like 3 years later. He said, "More than a brother, Wilbur was my closest partner in every way. Without him, the skies seem a little less open." Anyways, so I don't want to close with that depressing thought, though. Wilbur and Orville Wright were not just inventors. They were visionaries who dared to pursue a dream that changed humanity's trajectory forever. From their modest beginnings in Dayton to their soaring achievements, their legacy, their legacy endures in every airplane, every flight, and every exploration of the skies. When's the last time you were on an airplane?
It's been a while.
I think for me, it was my sister's wedding in 2019. I think. Yeah, we flew to Boston, mostly for time's sake. Like, because we had to be there early, Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the last time. Not only was that the last time, but it was also my two older kids' first time on an airplane. And only time on an airplane. But you don't remember?
No.
I mentioned earlier my dad worked for US Air, so we would get standby tickets all the time. So we flew a lot. And to the point where we actually flew from Dayton, Ohio to Erie, which is not something people do very often unless you have access to free flights. And this was in the 90s. So, because it's a 5-hour drive, but the flight was like an hour, something like that. Because my dad grew up here. And I definitely remember my grandparents were able to use those tickets as well, because they would come at least once or twice. They came down. But anyway.
Nice.
You're like, why are you still talking?
No.
Yeah, but when you grow up in Dayton, Ohio, you're going to hear about the Wright brothers. Just like if you grow up around here, you're going to hear about the War of 1812 in the Niagara. Like, not Niagara. You know what I mean.
Fort LaBeouf?
Yeah, Fort LaBeouf, all that. Yeah.
Fort Pitt?
Exactly. When you grow up in Ohio, like Dayton, Ohio, you're going to hear about the Wright brothers for sure.
And UFOs.
Yes, because the Roswell UFO came to the Wright Pat Air Force Base.
Wait, so you're saying the Roswell UFO was the UFO?
They eventually stored it at the Wright Pat Air Force Base, apparently.
So that's where you escaped from?
No comment.
Watch where you swing those tentacles.
Anyways, hope you all are having a really good beginning into 2025. I hope you enjoyed our Y2K episode for New Year's Eve. Thought that was a good one. Don't forget to follow our socials. At least right now, we still have TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. We have our Gmail, timetellershistory.com. I'm also on Blue Sky
Whatever
with
school
the time
that
tellers. Yeah, that's Burton.
Yeah.
For sure. Don't forget, some of these, Spotify, I know for sure that you can leave a comment. Leave us a comment. Leave us a
Podbean, you
review.
can as well.
Podbean, yes. We're also on iHeartRadio, in case you don't use any of those other ones. And you can, of course, find us on our website. So, thank you so much. And you will hear from us soon.
That sounded kind of menacing.
I didn't mean to. Okay.
Yes, you did.
Bye.
You look being ominous.
Signing off now. Bye.
Does that mean I have to hit the stop button?
Yes.
But I don't want to.
Do it.
But I want you to say something bad before I hit stop. That wasn't saying anything. I don't want to turn it off yet.